Hi guys, it's Alex here with the Recombo, and I have here a Samsung Galaxy S3 and a Samsung Galaxy S3 Mini. And as you can see, as the name suggests, the Mini is a significantly smaller version of the flagship Samsung that launched earlier this year. Now, the Mini actually initially was anticipated to be exactly the same phone inside with just a scaled down screen and body. That wasn't quite the case, and there are some certain visual and hardware differences that differentiate these two devices. On the front here, if we just look at the UI for a second, you can see that the S3 mini screen only allows for 3 shortcut icons when the S4 opts for 4. Other than that, the home button and capacitive keys are still in the same place. The front-facing cameras are both present, although they've swapped sides. And on the back here, the flash for the camera has moved underneath the camera rather than to the side as on the S3 itself. Aside from that, the visual styling of the S3 Mini is actually surprisingly similar to its flagship brother in terms of the nice chrome strips, the same pearlescent feel, and it's also available in the same marble white and pebble blue colours that the S3 comes in. Again, some other aspects of swap sides, the microphone on the base of the phone and the headphone jack on the top are on the opposing side of the device, but other than that, the aesthetic, the look and the feel of the phone are surprisingly similar to the full premium device of the S3. Considering this is a mid-range phone, that is a really nice touch to see, and Samsung have obviously put a lot of work into creating this premium experience on this mid-range phone. Unlocking here, you get the same ripple effect when you unlock the device. And scrolling through the home screens, you get all of the same widgets and TouchWiz interface tweaks and quirks that we've seen from Samsung already with the S3. The S3 Mini also runs Jelly Bean out of the box, whereas the S3 itself was upgraded to Jelly Bean, but the experience is very, very similar on both devices. The front-facing camera here is 1.9 megapixel on the S3 and VGA on the S3 Mini, and on the back we have a 5 megapixel camera compared to an 8 megapixel camera. Of course, the S3 with its quad-core processor means that it can do more intensive processes like full 1080p HD video at 30 frames a second, whilst the S3 Mini's 5 megapixel can only shoot 720p at 30 frames a second. That also carries across to the video playback functionality too, so 720p and 1080p respectively. In terms of the processing power behind these devices, although the UI is very, very smooth, you do see occasional lag on the S3 Mini, and that's because this is running a 1 GHz dual-core processor, whilst the S3 itself was endowed with a 1.4 GHz quad-core processor, so it's a lot more powerful as a phone. The only other key factor that you'll see is storage options. The S3 was offered in 1632 and 64GB options, with the option for expandable memory via microSD up to 64GB. The S3 Mini opts for a slightly more conservative set of options, with an 8 and a 16GB of onboard storage available, with microSD support up to 32GB. In terms of everyday use though, you won't likely spot a huge amount of difference in the user experience. Of course, the resolution of the displays is slightly different, but the screen on this is still very, very good, even though it's only a WVGA Super AMOLED screen, a 4-inch display we have here, compared to the 4.8-inch 720p HD display of the S3. One good example is show you a 3D game. Now, when looking for games to play, the S3's quad-core processor does allow it to play a lot more intensive games, and 3D titles like this are harder to find on the S3 Mini. But there are still some around, and they still run impressively smoothly for a device with far lesser hardware. If I just turn them around for you. So if I turn, you can see the frame rate on the S3 Mini is still buttery smooth, despite the fact that it has a lesser processor. RAM is the same on both devices, and all of the Jelly Bean tweaks that you see there carry across to both devices as well. So you still get a very premium experience despite the drop in price and the lesser hardware. So that's a quick look at the S3 Mini compared to the Samsung Galaxy S3. Thank you.